The deadliest animal in Texas eats flowers. Not the rattlesnake, not the gator, not the mountain lion the tourists worry about. The creatures that actually put Texans in the emergency room by the tens of thousands every single year are almost all the ones nobody's afraid of. The small, the common, the ones in the flowerbed and the surf and the tall grass by the mailbox. The people who've spent their lives outdoors here know it. The danger was never the monster. It was the math. 10 animals in Texas, ranked by one thing the scary lists always ignore. Not how deadly they are, but how many people they actually get, every year, in real numbers. Some of these you've never once thought to fear. One of them lives at the beach. One of them is on the end of a fishing line. And at number 1 is an animal so gentle, so familiar, so completely harmless looking, that it injures more Texans annually than every predator in this state combined, and you have almost certainly stood a few feet from one. We start at the bottom, with the one that surprises people the most by even being here. Number 10, the coyote. Number 10 isn't supposed to be a city animal. It is now. Start with the one people find hardest to believe is a real, growing problem, not out in the ranch land, but in the suburbs. The coyote has quietly colonized every major Texas city. Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. It trots through greenbelts and golf courses and backyards at dawn and dusk, and it has learned the rhythms of a neighborhood better than most of the people living in it. Trash day, the hours the streets go quiet, which yards leave pet food out. Here's the honest part, and it matters. Attacks on adult humans are genuinely rare, and a coyote wants nothing to do with you. Most encounters end with the coyote vanishing back into the brush, but the number that's rising isn't attacks on adults, it's conflict. Bites on small children in yards. Pets taken off leashes and out of yards, sometimes with the owner standing right there. And every one of those incidents traces to the same root cause. A coyote that stopped being afraid of people, usually because people fed it, on purpose, or by accident. A bold coyote is a made thing, and we make more of them every year. Texas cities now run entire public education campaigns on hazing, teaching residents to yell, wave, and make themselves big to reinstill the fear a fed coyote lost. It's a quiet admission of how completely this wild predator has moved in among us, and how the encounters keep climbing as the cities keep growing into what used to be open country. It sits at 10 because the raw number of people it actually injures is still small, but it's here to make the first point of this whole list. The animal quietly racking up encounters isn't a wolf in the wilderness. It's a predator that moved into your own backyard while you weren't looking. And the next one moved into your house. Number 9, the scorpion. Number 9 is already inside. In the closet, in the shoe, in the bed. If you don't think of Texas as scorpion country, the numbers will change your mind. In just a 6-year span, Texas poison centers logged over 11,000 scorpion stings, and those are only the ones people called about, a fraction of the true total. The striped bark scorpion lives across enormous stretches of central and west Texas, and unlike almost everything else on this list, it doesn't wait for you to come to it. It comes indoors. That's what drives the numbers. Studies of Texas scorpion stings found that the overwhelming majority happen at the victim's own residence. The sting comes from a scorpion that crawled into a boot left by the door, a towel on the floor, a bedsheet, a work glove. You reach in, or you step down, or you roll over, and the stinger is already there. They hide in the daytime and hunt at night, and they slip through gaps a pencil could barely fit into. Stings spike in the warm months of May and June, and the poison center tally is only the tip of it. Most people who get stung never call anyone at all. They just ride out the pain. Which means the true number of Texans stung in their own homes each year runs well beyond those 11,000 recorded cases. Now the reassurance, because it's real. In Texas, the striped bark scorpion sting, for the vast majority of people, is a searing, throbbing pain and swelling, genuinely miserable but rarely dangerous. Most people never need a hospital. It is not the lethal desert scorpion of other countries. It ranks 9th because for all those thousands of stings, it very seldom does lasting harm. But it makes the second point of this list, and it's a colder one than the coyote. The animal stinging thousands of Texans a year isn't out in the wild at all. It's in the house. And the next animal is waiting in the water you were about to wade into. Number 8, the catfish. Number 8 stings more Texans than any shark ever will, and people pay to hold it. This is the one that makes people laugh, right up until it happens to them. The catfish, The bread and butter catch of every Texas lake, river, and farm pond is armed. Those fins aren't just fins. The dorsal and pectoral fins are tipped with hard, sharp spines, and in many catfish, those spines are venomous, backed by glands that inject a toxin when the spine drives into skin. Every angler who's ever grabbed one wrong knows the result. A deep puncture, immediate burning pain far out of proportion to the wound, swelling, and a puncture that loves to get infected. Think about the sheer volume of contact. Catfish are one of the most caught fish in the entire state, hauled in by the millions by people of every age, and the injury happens at the exact moment of triumph, reaching down to grab the catch, unhook it, hold it up for the photo. The spine goes into a hand or a thumb, and a good day at the lake turns into a throbbing, swelling drive home. Sometimes a trip to a clinic when the wound turns. And almost nobody reports it. There's no database of catfish stings, no warning sign at the boat ramp, which means the real number of Texans finned every year is far higher than anyone officially counts. It's one of the most common wild animal injuries in the state that no one is even tracking. It ranks 8th because the stings, while incredibly common, are almost never serious. Clean it, soak it in hot water, watch for infection, and you'll be fine. But that's exactly why it belongs on a list about frequency instead of fear. A fish most Texans consider dinner injures a steady stream of them every single year, and nobody counts it as a dangerous animal at all. And the next one is waiting in the surf, buried in the sand, right where you put your feet. Number 7, the stingray. Number 7 is why they teach you to shuffle your feet. Go to any Texas beach or bay and you'll eventually hear the advice. Do the stingray shuffle. Slide your feet along the bottom instead of stepping down. That advice exists because stingrays send thousands of people yelping for medical help every year along America's coasts. And the warm, shallow bays of the Texas Gulf are prime stingray country. They lie half buried in the sand in inches of water, invisible, exactly where waders walk, and they are not hunting anyone. Every sting is an accident of geometry. A bare foot comes down on a hidden ray, and the ray's reflex whips that barbed tail up in defense. What the barb does is genuinely brutal for something so accidental. It drives a serrated spine into the foot or ankle, injecting a venom that triggers, in the words of one victim, immediate knife-like pain. Pain that can last for hours along with heavy bleeding, and often a piece of the barb broken off inside the wound that has to be removed. People who've been stung describe being sure, in the first second, that a shark had bitten them. Texas is especially exposed to it. The state's warm, shallow bays and gently sloping Gulf beaches are exactly the low, sandy water stingrays prefer, and exactly where families wade for hours on a summer afternoon. Every one of those waders is a foot looking for a ray it can't see. It sits at 7 because it almost never kills. The treatment is hot water and a doctor to clean the wound, and the vast majority heal fine. But of everything on this list so far, this is the one most likely to turn a perfect day into an ambulance ride, purely because of how many bare feet meet how many hidden rays in that warm Gulf shallows every summer. And we're now leaving the almost never serious tier behind. The next one leaves a wound that can take months to heal. We're halfway up, and from here, the numbers and the damage both climb hard. If a wilder, truer picture of Texas is your kind of thing, take 1 second and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel keep making these. Because the back half of this list is where attacks more people than you'd believe stops being a curiosity and starts being a public health fact. Starting with a spider that's probably in your house right now. Number 6, the brown recluse and black widow. Number 6 is 2 spiders, and both of them live where you least want them to. Texas is home to the 2 spiders that actually matter medically in North America. And between them, they bite a steady stream of Texans every year, almost always in the same way. A spider trapped against skin, in a space a person reached into without looking. The black widow, glossy black with its red hourglass, spins in woodpiles, meter boxes, sheds, and under patio furniture, and its venom is a neurotoxin that can bring on severe muscle cramping, sweating, and pain wildly disproportionate to the tiny bite. But it's the other one that earns this rank. The brown recluse, the fiddleback marked with a violin behind its head, is common across much of Texas, and it lives in the quietest corners of the home. Closets, stored boxes, folded clothes, the shoe in the back of the closet, the glove in the garage. Most recluse bites are painless at first and heal on their own. But in a fraction of cases, the venom goes necrotic. Over the following days, the skin around the bite dies, darkening into an open ulcer that heals slowly over many weeks and can leave a deep scar, and in rare cases turns systemic with fever and worse, most dangerously in children. It ranks 6th because serious tissue-destroying bites are the exception, not the rule. Most people bitten by either spider will be fine. But it climbs above the beach and the lake because when a spider bite does go wrong here, it goes wrong for months out of a dark corner of your own house you never thought to check. And the next animal doesn't wait in a corner. It's coiled in the leaf litter, and it bites more people than any other venomous snake in America. Number 5. The copperhead. Number 5 is the venomous snake that bites the most people in the country, and it barely tries. Texas has more venomous snakes than any other state, and it logs the most snake bites in the nation, roughly a couple of thousand venomous bites a year statewide. But here's the surprise buried in that number. The snake responsible for the largest share of them isn't the fearsome western diamondback. It's the copperhead, the leading cause of venomous snake bite in much of the state. And it racks up those numbers not by being aggressive, but by being invisible and by refusing to leave. A copperhead's coppery, hourglass crossbands are a flawless match for dead leaves and dappled shade. Its entire strategy is to freeze and trust that you won't see it. No rattle, no retreat, no warning. So the classic copperhead bite lands on someone who never knew the snake was there. A hand into the mulch, a step over a log, a foot set down at the edge of the garden. It lives in exactly the wooded, brushy, suburban edge habitat where Texans garden, hike, and let the dog out, which is why it touches so many people. Now the crucial concession, and it's a big one, copperhead venom is comparatively mild. Deaths are extremely rare. A large share of bites are dry with little or no venom injected, and most bite victims treated promptly recover fully. It ranks 5th not because it's the deadliest snake, it isn't, but because it is, by a wide margin, the one most likely to actually bite you, striking silent and unseen from the leaf litter of your own backyard. And the next 3 don't hide at all. They come in numbers and they come fast. Number 4. The wasp and the yellow jacket. Number 4 is why more than 500,000 Americans go to the emergency room every year. Now we reach the tier that operates on a completely different scale. The stinging insects, where the victim count stops being in the thousands and starts being in the millions. Wasps, hornets, and yellow jackets sting an enormous number of Texans every single year. And nationally, stinging insects drive more than 500,000 emergency room visits annually. Yellow jackets in particular are the single biggest cause of allergic sting reactions in the country. And they are everywhere in Texas, nesting in the ground, in wall voids, in the eaves, in the barbecue you haven't opened since last fall. Here's what makes them so much worse than a bee. A wasp stinger has almost no barb, so unlike a honeybee, it doesn't die when it stings. It can drive that stinger into you again, and it will. Disturb a yellow jacket nest with a mower or a footstep, and the colony pours out and stings in a coordinated defense, each insect hitting multiple times. For most people, that's a cluster of hot, swelling welts. For the allergic, and many don't know they are until it happens, it's anaphylaxis, and it can come on within minutes, out in a yard far from help. And they get worse as the year goes on. By late summer and fall, yellow jacket colonies have swelled to their peak size and their food sources are drying up, which turns them aggressive and hungry right when Texans are outside for football season, tailgates, and cookouts, the exact collision of angry insect and gathered crowd. It ranks 4th because stinging insects, as a whole, injure and kill more Texans than everything below it on this list combined. The raw contact is simply staggering. But among the stingers, the wasp isn't even the worst offender. The next one down the barrel sends still more people to the doctor, and it may have already stung you this year without you thinking twice. Number 3. The fire ant. Number 3 has stung 4 out of 5 Texans in a single year. Sit with that, because it's real and it's astonishing. According to a statewide poll in one survey year, 79% of Texans reported being stung by fire ants, and a state resolution noted that in heavily infested areas, fire ants sting more than half the human population every year. There is almost certainly no other animal in this entire video that touches as many Texans as often as the imported fire ant. An estimated 14 million people are stung across the infested South annually. This isn't a rare wilderness danger. It's a near universal Texas experience. The reason is the ground itself. Fire ants infest tens of millions of acres of Texas, their mounds seeded through lawns, parks, ball fields, and pastures with no obvious opening. Step on one or brush it with a mower, and the response is instant and coordinated. The ants boil up, latch on with their jaws, and sting repeatedly in a circle, each ant driving its stinger again and again while more keep climbing. Most victims are stung on the feet and ankles simply for standing in the wrong patch of their own yard. And the ants don't spare anyone. A state resolution specifically flagged children and the elderly as having the highest sting rates and the greatest risk of severe reactions, because fire ants readily invade schools, playgrounds, and nursing homes. Almost no Texan makes it through a childhood without learning what that sudden, synchronized burn feels like. Here's the honest scale of the harm. For the overwhelming majority, a fire ant encounter means a cluster of burning, itching pustules and a few days of misery. Unpleasant, not dangerous. But because the sheer number of stings is so vast, even a rare reaction becomes a real body count. Anaphylaxis strikes a small percentage of those stung. A single sting is enough to trigger it in someone sensitized, and fire ant stings have caused dozens of documented deaths. When you sting tens of millions of people, even a tiny fraction adds up. And yet, for all those numbers, the fire ant still isn't number 2, because one insect above it is even more aggressive and it will chase you. Number 2, the Africanized honeybee. Number 2 is the one that doesn't stop at 1 sting or 100. The Africanized honeybee, the killer bee, spread into Texas decades ago and now occupies a huge share of the state's counties. And its danger is a specific, escalating kind that separates it from every other stinger. One Africanized bee is no more venomous than an ordinary honeybee. A single sting is just a sting. The difference is the response. Disturb an ordinary hive and a few dozen guards come out. Disturb an Africanized hive with something as small as a lawnmower's vibration, a slammed gate, even a dog barking nearby, and the colony sends thousands in a furious, coordinated attack. And they do not give up. Where native bees quit after a few seconds, Africanized bees have been documented pursuing a person for a quarter of a mile or more and staying agitated for hours. A person caught in the open can take hundreds, even 1,000 stings before reaching shelter. That's the mechanism that turns a stinging insect into a killer. The venom rarely matters at one sting, but the human body has limits, and a mass envenoming of hundreds of stings can overwhelm and kill a person with no allergy at all. And it has, including in Texas, where mass attacks have hospitalized and killed people and animals both. It ranks second, above even the near-universal fire ant, for one reason. It is the animal on this list most capable of turning a routine moment, mowing the lawn, trimming a hedge, walking past a shed, into a life-threatening emergency in seconds. No allergy required. The fire ant stings more people. The killer bee is the one that actually comes after them. But for all its menace, it still isn't the animal that hurts the most Texans. That title belongs to something that has never bitten or stung anyone in its life. Number 1, the white-tailed deer. Number 1 weighs 100 pounds, eats flowers, and injures more Texans than everything else on this list combined. Here's the twist the whole countdown has been driving toward. The most harmful animal in Texas isn't a predator, a stinger, or a venomous anything. It's the white-tailed deer, the gentle, wide-eyed, utterly harmless-looking icon of the Texas countryside. It has no fangs, no venom, no aggression, no interest in you whatsoever. And it injures more Texans every year than every other animal in this video put together because of where its body meets yours. On the road, through a windshield, at highway speed. The numbers are staggering, and they're not in dispute. Texas records on the order of 90,000 animal vehicle collision insurance claims in a single year, among the highest totals of any state in the country. And the animal struck again and again is the deer. Nationally, deer vehicle collisions injure tens of thousands of people a year and kill somewhere around 200. And Texas, with its enormous deer population and endless rural roads, carries a huge share of that toll. The danger peaks in the fall rut, October through December, when bucks crash across roads at dusk with no regard for headlights, a 200-pound animal coming through the glass at 60 miles an hour. And Texas is uniquely exposed. It holds one of the largest white-tailed deer populations in the country, laced with tens of thousands of miles of dark, fast, rural highway. And the two things meet at exactly the hours people are driving home. It is the single most predictable, dangerous animal encounter in the state, and still almost nobody slows down for it. That's why it's number 1, And it isn't close. Every other animal on this list is an encounter you can mostly avoid. Watch where you step, shuffle your feet, don't reach into the dark. The deer you cannot plan around. It doesn't stalk you, doesn't want you, doesn't even see the car until it's too late. It simply steps out of the tree line at the worst possible instant, on a road you've driven 1,000 times, and becomes, without a shred of intent, the deadliest and most injurious animal in the entire state. The thing that hurts the most Texans was never hunting anyone. It was just crossing the road. So look back down the list and the pattern gives itself away. We started with the predator everyone worries about, the coyote in the yard, and the higher we climbed toward the animals that actually hurt people, the tamer and more ordinary they got. A fish you eat for dinner, an ant in the grass, a spider in the closet, and at the very top, an animal so harmless it's a symbol of peace, doing more damage than every fang and stinger in Texas combined, purely by standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the truth the scary lists miss. Real danger, the kind measured in emergency rooms instead of nightmares, almost never looks like a monster. It looks like the small, the common, the familiar, the sting in the flowerbed, the barb in the surf, the deer in the headlights. The wild things Texans are taught to fear are mostly leaving them alone. It's the ordinary ones, the ones right around the house that are quietly filling the waiting rooms and always have been. And if the animals that hurt the most people are the ones you'd never suspect, wait until you see the ones that genuinely hunt them. One video over, I break down the Texas animals that don't injure you by accident at all, the handful that will actually come at a human on purpose. That one's already on the channel. Subscribe and I'll show you the predators that were the real answer all along.